We're lucky here in the United States. We have this wonderful thing called the First Amendment. If you've never heard it, here it is in its entirety. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. These two simple phrases, freedom of speech and the freedom of the press, are some of the most important pieces of our democracy. In the words of our first president, if the freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to the slaughter. But what if we didn't have the rights to inform, question, and criticize? What would that look like? For a majority of the world's population, that is the case. According to Freedom House, 13% of the world's population experiences the luxury of a free press, while 41% have a partly free press and 46% don't have a free press at all. The worst part is that this issue is not on the decline, but rather is experiencing a startling growth over the past decade and a half. Every day, journalists around the world are imprisoned or killed for publishing the truth or holding people accountable for their actions. In 2016 alone, over 400 journalists, netizens, and media assistants were killed or imprisoned. From the Middle Eastern countries ravaged by armed conflict to known bastions of media freedom, everywhere there are people, there are journalists susceptible to injustices. The struggle for power and to censor, however, is on a minute scale relative to the scope of the issue at hand. The vast majority of journalists killed over the past decade were local journalists reporting on stories in their hometowns related to corruption, organized crime, and drugs. In other words, being a journalist is a dangerous but necessary responsibility around the world. But the question still stands: why is the safety of journalists important? Take, for instance, the poster child for crimes against humanity, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, better known as North Korea. Nicknamed an information black hole, North Korea is anything but democratic. The sole source of official information is the state-run Korean Central News Agency, which keeps its people in a state of ignorance, literally cutting them off from the rest of the world. Their government goes so far as to monitor foreign journalists carefully and prevent them from talking to the general public. However, despite the decline in press freedom, the world is experiencing a renaissance for independent journalists and media personnel. Now, unlike ever before, anyone can be a journalist. With the advent and proliferation of social media, citizens are no longer constrained to traditional news outlets and can take matters into their own hands. All a reporter needs is a smartphone and an internet connection, and she or he can reach hundreds of thousands of yet-to-be-informed citizens. Take, for example, the Arab Spring. A new study found that after analyzing 3 million tweets, thousands of blog posts, and gigabytes of YouTube content, social media played a central role in shaping the political debates of the uprisings. When internet discussion of free speech spread across the Middle East and Northern Africa, so did progressive conversations and revolutions. If people are tweeting and posting, they are talking and protesting. Changes are made when citizens have the right to speak freely, to criticize, and to publish facts and their opinions. Today, unlike ever before, the power to inform millions of people is just a click away. Through trial and tribulation, the essential institution of a free and independent media has been given its due respect and defense in many places around the world, but not everywhere. That same potential to foster change resides in the hands of the reporter at the New York Times, the blogger in Syria, the cartoonist in France, the Twitter user in Russia, or the photographer in Africa. All of these men and women on the front lines hold the power to inform, question, and criticize. It is up to society to protect them.